I've been exploring the Eventide H90 now for several weeks, but it wasn't until the last few days that I downloaded the companion app for Mac. Now, why did it take me so long? Well, I bought a piece of hardware with buttons and knobs on it, and it's that interface that I want to use. If I'm going to be sat in front of my computer, then I may as well use just a plug-in or even let AI make my music. But what I found is that while the H90 is fantastic and a very powerful FX pedal, it's also very deep. And when I say deep, I mean unbelievably complicated. It's like one of those early computers that filled a whole room but had like 3 buttons to control it. Well, the app lets you quickly and easily set the H90 up how you want it to be set up. Then you can return to the hardware unit and use it to perform and play. And that's what I love doing. But that is the beauty of the app. But if that's all the app did, then it would be okay, but not great. Now in this video, I'll show you how to use the app, yes, of course. But I'll also show you how to use the app to truly unlock the monster that is the H90. And if you stick around until the end, I have a bonus tip that takes this thing to a whole new level. And if that sounds good, then please consider subscribing to my channel and giving me a thumbs up. Apparently, it helps the algorithm. Right, let's get into it.
So I'm going to attempt to show you around the app. When you open it up, this is what the app looks like. We are on the first program, Clean Ambient. It's currently bypassed and in the user one factory list. So if I just start that loop, and we are on Clean Ambient. It says Clean Ambient. This is the first program that loads up. If I click here on bypass, we can hear the sound, and these are all the factory presets, and you can just scroll through them. Literally click on one, it goes straight to it. I'm not touching the hardware box at all. So straight away you can see this is quite handy just for very quickly seeing what some of these sound like. All I'm doing is literally clicking on okay. So I'll stop that. So you can see this is the user list 199 split into banks of 3. If you haven't seen my other videos, I explain what banks are and what programs are, and I thoroughly recommend going through my videos and learning the hardware first before you get into this software app, but this is unbelievably helpful. So you can then in this drop down menu go to user bank 2, which is also what I recommend doing, and this is some of the programs that I have set up on some of my previous videos. But if you scroll down, you can also see that we've got init patches here, and every time you click on one of these, this screen here changes. And what's also quite useful, which I didn't know how to do on the hardware, is that you can rename this. So if you go to this button here, user list 2, I can change this to JK list 1, which is pretty handy. And then that will show up on the box. So already something that this can do, which is pretty hard to do on the unit itself. And so if we just go through, if I go through one of the factory presets to start with, because everyone watching this who has an H90 will have one of these. If we go to Warm Embrace, so this is a chorus here called Polymodalicious, going into Headspace, a reverb. So let's just hear what it sounds like. Nice. So the way the app works is pretty much like the pedal. You have an A effect on the left hand side, this kind of yellowy green color. You have a B effect on the right hand side, and each of these dials is a parameter that you can change, and they are split on each side into the effect parameter, so things like intensity, type, depth. This is chorus, so we've got speed, shape, delay, etc, etc. Then we have a general, which again is available on all of them, which are things like the tail, what's the tempo mode, input and output gain, etc. And the same on the B effect, so over here. You don't have to, you have access to them all on one screen, which is what I really like. You can bypass each of them individually, so clicking on this button here bypasses A, clicking on this here bypasses B, clicking on this tempo changes the tempo mode from tempo linked to not tempo linked or free running. You can bypass the whole thing. You can favorite it just by clicking on here. All of this stuff is really good. And this, if you look on the bottom section here, we have 4 pages. This is the parameters page. So this is where you get to tweak everything that you want in this particular effect. So if we go back to the effects page and I start it again, take off the bypass, we can, for example, reduce the chorus potentially and increase the reverb. It's very easy just to change these. I think it's much easier just to mess around with this stuff on the app. And we have a different effect, which we may or may not like. Then we can save it over here. We can also very quickly swap them around. So this button here swaps the presets. So now we have a reverb going into the chorus and swap it back again. We could do all the good stuff that we can do on the pedal as well. So if we click down to the second page here, we have the routing and we have another lovely image. So we have parallel here. We can change it to series. We can play with inserts here if we have any inserts, which I don't at the moment. The third page is the control assignments. So we just choose a different preset here. We're on Thieves. Ring mod going into distortion, which sounds quite nice. I'll just turn that off for a second. So the routing, this is in series, and if we go to page 3, the control assignments. So the quick knobs, now these are the 3 black knobs on the face of the H90, and this is where using the app to get something quick is really helpful. So there are 3 knobs, but there are 2 pages, so you have 6 parameters, and this is what the factory presets have come as. And I found this quite awkward to set up on the box itself, so being able to do it here, so it's set to intensity, you can see it's ticked. You can obviously choose the program level effect, preset A or preset B, and as per my previous videos I like to have 3 on A and 3 on B, so we could change that from intensity to pitch, and then we could change that from type to depth, and it's just very, very quick to change these. So what if we wanted to set up our own preset? First thing to do is to go to an init patch. So if I go over to my list, which I've just renamed, go to init program and go to page 4. Let's just check on the parameters. We have 2 completely blank patches here, both on A and B. If we go to the preset library, we can then very quickly choose what we want. So on the right hand side here, you've got the effect type, and you've got all the very helpful images and all the lists. So if I click one, you can see that the algorithms then only show me the delay algorithms. So if I want a clean delay, let's say a digital delay, comes even smaller. Then here is all of the digital delays. So it's very quick to, you can do this on the unit, and I have shown this in a previous video, but it's very quick to dial in something very specific. So if we choose one of them, that then immediately goes into A. If I go back to the parameters page, I have all the parameters here. And if I play my clip, we can then see what it sounds like immediately. And we might decide that we want a bit more feedback. We might decide we want a filter here. We might decide we want this to be a bit louder so we can hear the echoes a bit more. We can bypass it. Okay, so that sounds quite nice. We'll just stop that for a second and then choose something for B. So if we click over here on B, we can then choose something different, maybe some sort of modulation, sort of flanger type sound. So we've got modulation, flanger, and we have our list here. And again, I can play the clip and we can select things live and see what they sound like. So if I go for barrel roll, pulsing wow flange, subtle drastic. Okay, I quite like that. When we go back to the presets, you can see the intense. We can bypass A. Here's flanger on its own. Clean. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Alright, let's say, well, the final thing probably to do is just to check the routing, see which sounds better. So we've got it in series. We can swap it around by pressing this button up here. I think it actually sounds better that way around, having the flanger being then affected by the delay. What about parallel? No, again, better in series. Okay, so we like this, so we can then rename this. We've got flange delay, haven't we? So what about... Ooh. And save. Once we've saved it, you can see it's here. It's in bank 6. Program 16 or slot 16 of my list, JK, list 1. Okay, so now you know the basics. Let me show you the first thing that blew my mind when I first started playing with the H90 app. So if you've seen some of my previous videos, you know that I love snapshots. Now, Eventide calls these hot switches, but they're an incredibly powerful way of taking one set of algorithms or two presets, one program, sorry, the crazy nomenclature, something you've set up, an FX that you like, taking that and creating 3 different versions of it and then being able to switch between the 3 incredibly easily for use in different parts of the same song, which is generally how I like to use them. Well, if you look down here in the bottom right hand corner of the app, hello, you see HS1, 2 and 3, hot switch 1, 2 and 3. And yes, if you click on one of them, so when you've clicked hot switch 1, what you can do is select any single one of these parameters and attach it to hot switch 1 and then set the level. So maybe if we're going for 3 different versions, we will click on this little plus button here. It says add hot switch mapping, and we'll do that. And so maybe on hot switch 1 we won't have 99 intensity, we'll dial it back to something like 30. And well, let's concentrate on the flanger. Let's add the speed, and we'll add it, we'll have a quick, oh wait, that's going slower. We'll have a quick, and we will have, let's just throw quite a few of these on. Speed, we'll go low, depth, we will go low as well. Okay, so we have 4 of these settings on hot switch 1. And now if I go to hot switch 2, you see they disappear, but if I add the same 4, and then we were on about 30, we'll have 60 here, we'll have 10, 16 here, and we'll have 50, and we'll have quick. And then if I can switch between hot switch 1 and hot switch 2, you'll see the little pointers and the numbers change. So we've got the same speed, but the intensity goes up, and we've got the speed and depth and modulation going up. At the moment I haven't touched the second effect B, that's deliberately. So maybe on hot switch 3 we will then go and have 99 intensity. We will slow that down, we will go to 99 modulation, and we will go very quick, and maybe we will add some other shapes here as well, just Okay, so now we have 3. If you click between them, you can see the different settings very, very quickly. Then if I play the clip, so we are in hot switch 1 here. Okay, so this isn't the standard setting, this is hot switch 1. And then hot switch 2, slightly more. And then you can do the same, obviously, with effect B. So we can increase the feedback. We can increase the feedback. We can change the filter. We can change the spread, and we could maybe even reduce the output on hot switch 1, but then on hot switch 2 we will increase the output again. So we'll go from hot switch 1, sounds like this, to hot switch 2, and then hot switch 3. I think this is fantastic. It's so much easier and so nice visually just to be able to see what's going on. Changing it live. Just really very quickly and easily dial in and switch between these 3 presets, and I think this is fantastic. And then you can, of course, then save that, and all of these hot switches and settings are saved, and they are immediately on the hardware. And I promised you a bonus tip, and here it is. Now, the H90 has another stupidly named feature called hot knobs. Yes, not quick knobs and not hot switches, hot knobs. And with everything else going on with the unit, I've not really used it, to be honest. It's more of a performance thing, and it's a bit fiddly to set up. The button on the top right of the hardware unit can be used to change a number of parameters very quickly in performance mode. Now, with the app, it's an absolute breeze to set this up, and I will show you how right now. Now, the thing that really takes us to the next level is adding an expression pedal, and that is a guitar pedal that you can control with your foot. So when you're playing with all the other things and knobs and switches on the actual unit in front of you, you have effectively something else that you can play with. These are not very expensive, and I haven't really used one until now, but with the H90 I was encouraged to explore this, and I'll show you exactly what I mean now. So if you look at the app, this switch here is called Hot Knobs, and the little yellow drop down here, if you connect it, says Control Source for Range Mapping Hot Knob. And if you go to Expression Pedal, this is, as I said, just a normal sort of guitar pedal, and it is plugged into the back of the unit, pedal number 1. So that is it, and it is underneath the desk right now, and if I start moving it with my foot, you can see, I'm not sure why I can't get it up to 100, but it should go from, yeah, okay, so from 2 to 92. So I am basically controlling this hands-free with my foot. And then I can take some of these settings, so for example mix being the obvious one, so if I click on again on that, and I can Control Source for Range Mapping Mix, if I go Program Hot Knob, that is this button here. So you'll see as I move my foot, this goes up and this goes up, and I've also set mix here going up, so I can go from completely dry, which will sound like this, and if I slowly start pressing, you know, hands free here, if I start pressing with my foot, both mixes go up, and this all the way up to max. Now that is very cool, and something that you can obviously do on the unit, but if you're playing with lots of other parameters at the same time, potentially playing with the hot switches here and playing with lots of other things, it's useful to have another pair of hands, or in this case, another foot. And what you can also do, of course, is, well, you can add other things in. So let's add, say, feedback to the program hot knob. And you'll see I'll go from 0 to 1. Now, I do not want feedback to go totally crazy. So if you get the ends of the, you can restrict the range. So maybe we only want to go to 50%. And again, maybe I don't want it to be completely off on the mix. I want to go from maybe 12 to 80. And the shimmer, again, maybe I always want a little bit of shimmer. And maybe we'll add a few more. So we'll have a decay. We can add the program hot knob on that. And we want to take it from something like that. What else? Maybe that is enough. So we're at 1, we're at 13, we're at 20, we're here, and that would sound like, maybe, should we try a different loop so that we don't have the same one? What does this one sound like? Okay. Actually, that's not quite bypassed, so that's the effect bypassed. That is the program turned on, and then if I slowly start to increase, you'll see here the hot knob. We've got more feedback, more mix, more decay here, all the way up to the max. I think that sounds great. And you can, because it's a very, you can literally just kind of pump the effect in, which you probably don't want to do, but you can certainly very quickly dial in different amounts. Fantastic.
Now, there are very few pieces of music production gear that manage to combine software and hardware to create something better than before. Now, the Electron boxes work brilliantly with Overbridge, and that's for a whole new video, but there aren't too many other examples. Well, I think Eventide have done a great job with their H90 software, perhaps realizing that it really does need a companion app to unlock all its secrets quickly and easily. Now, I can't actually recommend this highly enough. Without it, you have a box of treasure which looks great and is full of potential, but with it, you have the key to unlocking the creative monster that is the H90. Now, if you haven't checked out my other videos on the H90, please do check them out, because I have a whole series taking you from absolute beginner through to expert. And that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.